Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Ozcast.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into something pretty interesting. The potential for a U.S. XRP spot ETF.
Yeah, it's a big question on a lot of people's minds.
Exactly. We're basing our chat on an article from FXEmpire, and it really asks, could an XRP ETF lead to the kind of price surge and, institutional buzz we saw with Bitcoin?
That's $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or maybe the $1 billion question, given the numbers involved with Bitcoin.
Good point. And for anyone maybe newer to this, spot ETF basically lets people trade shares that represent actual XRP held somewhere safe, which makes it, easier for the big institutional players to jump in.
Precisely. And that Bitcoin ETF story, it really provides a fascinating potential roadmap.
It really does. Let's look at those Bitcoin numbers because they're quite something. The U.S. BTC spot ETFs, they launched January 11th, 2024, right?
Oh, that's right.
And by April 15th, 2025, so a little over a year, they'd pulled in, get this, 35,462.8 million in net inflows.
35 billion. That's just a staggering amount of new money flowing in.
It is. And look what happened to the price. Bitcoin went from about $46,742 up to $83,702 by that same date.
And it peaked even higher, didn't it?
It did. Hit $109,312 on January 20th. That's a 134% rally from the launch price. Huge.
Yeah. And importantly, research like from Kaiko suggests this wasn't just retail hype. It was strongly linked to increased institutional demand thanks to the ETFs.
Right. The ETFs gave them a regulated, familiar way in, less hassle with custody and all that.
Exactly. Easier pathway for the big money.
So the obvious next thought is, okay, could an XRP spot ETF do the same thing, spark that kind of institutional rush?
Well, that's certainly the hope for XRP supporters based on the Bitcoin precedent. You'd think it's a distinct possibility. The mechanism is similar.
But the market context right now is a bit different, maybe. XRP saw a small dip recently, right?
It did, yeah. On Tuesday, April 15th, it dropped about 2%, down to 2.08382S. But, the whole crypto market cooled off a bit then, dipped around 1.3% overall.
Okay, so maybe just following the general trend for now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But an ETF approval, that could be a specific catalyst just for XRP, potentially decoupling it from the broader market, at least for a while. We also have to remember, XRP has its own history, especially regulatory hurdles it's faced that might factor in.
Good point. Okay, now let's bring in the elephant in the room, maybe. BlackRock.
Definitely need to talk about BlackRock. Their influence on the Bitcoin ETF success was, massive.
Wasn't it just their iShares Bitcoin Trust, iBit? It pulled in $39,604 million in net inflows on its own.
Just massive. That one fund was a huge driver for the whole U.S. Bitcoin ETF market. Their brand name carries a lot of weight.
Absolutely. Which leads to the crucial point from the FXEmpire piece. BlackRock hasn't actually filed for an XRP ETF yet.
Not yet, and that's key.
The article suggests, and it makes sense, that if BlackRock did decide to launch an XRP ETF, that could really change the game for XRP's price outlook.
Oh, absolutely. BlackRock filing would be a major signal to the market, especially to other large institutions. It would add a layer of, let's say, perceived legitimacy or safety.
It's like a stamp of approval almost for the big players.
Kind of, yeah. It could potentially ease some of those lingering regulatory concerns, at least in the minds of conservative institutional investors.
Okay, so let's pull this together. Bitcoin ETFs. Huge success. Big price jump. Tons of institutional money flowing in, partly thanks to players like BlackRock, XRP. Could it follow suit if it gets a spot ETF? Maybe. The Bitcoin case is compelling. But
BlackRock hasn't made a move yet, and their potential entry is seen as, pretty critical. It's the factor everyone's watching.
Exactly. That 134% Bitcoin rally really shows what could be possible when you make an asset easily accessible to institutional capital via an ETF.
It really does underscore how important these regulated investment vehicles are for bridging the gap between traditional finance and the digital asset space.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, the Bitcoin ETF playbook suggests significant potential for XRP if, and it's still an if, a spot ETF gets approved. We're talking potential for serious institutional investment and consequently price appreciation.
And the BlackRock factor looms large. Their potential involvement could be a major turning point.
Definitely want to watch.
So maybe a final thought to leave folks with. We've talked about the Bitcoin precedent, institutional demand, BlackRock. But, considering all that, what other maybe less obvious factors or even unforeseen events might play a crucial role in where XRP actually goes from here? Something to chew on.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast. Ozcast. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.